Welcome, listeners, to the Fulfilled Being. Here with my co-podcaster Yair and our next guest Leah. So we're super excited to have you guys on. Really grateful for this experience to have Leah here, as well as have had Leah in our lives for the past 6 months. To give you guys a little background on Leah, Leah lives in the Philippines, an incredible, beautiful soul that works on the team with us at Alberi Real Estate. And what I'm super grateful for is for the positive energy that she brings to us and our business and our relationship and our friendship every single day. It's truly inspiring. It's literally making me emotional.
Me too.
Right now. How incredible she is. And we're just going to have her on here and have a genuine conversation as we normally do, kind of mirroring how we have our morning meetings where we share our feelings, we share our emotions, and we can dive into things that we're grateful for. And through that, maybe have a little bit of a different lens and ask Leah some questions on who she is, her background, and what's gotten her to where she is today. So thank you, Leah, for joining us on the podcast.
Of course, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Leah. Thank you for that introduction, Evan. I feel honored to be on the podcast. I think it's my first time
first time being on a podcast.
Yes. First time being on a podcast. And I was listening to Evan and I was thinking, the first 10 minutes, Evan's going to make me cry.
Well, super grateful. So I think this is a cool exercise here. Let's just get going like we normally do our meetings. And we can all express how we're feeling. I think it's a really important thing to be able to show ourselves, show the listeners what our everyday is and show just kind of real raw emotion. I'm going to let Yair start because it seems like my intuition is telling me Yair should get us going.
Yeah. Thank you. It's interesting, man. Like before we started, I shared with both of you guys, I was feeling a little fearful, feeling a little tired. And as a lot of the times it happens in our conversations, once we started the recording and talking, now I choose to know something with the energy shifted. I feel pretty peaceful right now. I feel grateful for both of you guys and for the beautiful relationship that we have. And it's really powerful. So a lot of peace came in for me.
Amazing.
How about you, babe?
I'm feeling really peaceful. Today's been a beautiful day. I had a call with my coach before this, which was awesome. I was able to really reflect on what's been going on the past few weeks, my trip that I just went on with my beautiful fiance and all the lessons I learned there. So it was very peaceful. Some of the deepest peace I felt in a while. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful to be here right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. As I shared earlier, I was feeling nervous when we were talking about the thin line between being nervous and being excited. So now I'm excited. I'm feeling comfortable as I am whenever we have our calls. So that's amazing. And yesterday was actually my sister's birthday. So shout out to my sister, Gabby.
Ooh, I love it. Shout out to Gabby. Gabby, you said is her name?
Yes, Gabby.
Shout out to Gabby.
15.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
I think that's a really cool launch point for us here, because we know through all of our conversations, I mean, if there's anything in life that's important to Leah that Yair and I have gathered, it's your sisters.
Yes.
And the amount of love and gratitude that you've expressed towards them. Maybe you can share a little bit about who they are, why they're, what is that connection that you have with your sisters, and is that a part of your fulfillment? Is that something that just brings a huge smile to your face? Like, tell us a little bit about that relationship.
Yes, of course. Yes. Well, I'm the eldest of three, and we're all girls. So, and my mom had me very young. So we kind of had that relationship like sisters, And then when she had my baby sisters, I just naturally, as the eldest, you would have that sense of responsibility, and kind of being like the second mother to them. So that has been with a little bit of pressure put on my parents to me, which actually I was able to turn around into strength. And with that, with my relationship with my sisters, I'm feeling really, really grateful with where we are now as siblings, because like any other sibling relationship, when you started as young kids, you don't really get along. And as we grow older, we kind of bridge that gap, because we have like big gaps. Me and my second sister, like 5 years. And then the youngest is like 12 years. So it's big. But they really, really make me happy and grateful for our relationship, and that they're growing up as really beautiful ladies. So I feel very proud. It's like a mother hen.
So growing up, you said that there was some conflict. Was it just kind of like high level kind of bickering, or is there some sort of big challenge that you've had with your sisters that you've had to break through?
Not really. It's just a typical sibling. You're just not really close to your siblings when you're growing up. I guess it really depends on each household, but on our household, we don't normally hug or say I love you. And yeah, that's true. I think that's also one of the cultures in the Philippines. We're not very open to our emotions. So I started to shift that when I met my girlfriend, Pauline. She's very open with her emotions. She hugs everyone. She says, I love you most of the time, even just on calls. And since I learned that from her, I started to share and practice that with my sisters. In the beginning, it was difficult because we're not used to that. But now we're so used to it. Whenever we hop on calls, or I wake up in the morning and I see a message from my sisters, I call them, and when we hang up, we say, I love you. We say, I miss you. So it's amazing how you meet people in your life and then teach you how to be a certain, like be emotional or be more sweet, be more compassionate. And then you share that because it's contagious. So you share that to your loved ones, and it will turn out to be like a more beautiful relationship than you had before. So that's really good.
That's beautiful. I love you can be a really uncomfortable word. I've noticed, for a lot of people, including myself, depending on the situation. And it's an incredible thing to be able to share, right? In our conversations with each other, when we feel inspired, we say I love you to each other and in our conversations. But sometimes there's some hesitation. Sometimes there's like an angst to it, right? It's like there's almost a little bit of fear sometimes behind it, right? Like if you say I love you, is the person going to say I love you back, right? Are you going to be left out in the cold?
Yeah. Is it one-sided?
Like, is it one-sided? Am I high and dry here? And I feel like there's a lot more power behind I love you when I love myself. Right. I think that's the biggest stem of it is, hey, when we love ourselves, it's okay. We can say I love you because we love ourselves. We don't need that back. It's really a I love you of giving, because we're so filled up and we have a lot to give.
Exactly.
And
True.
I see that a lot with Yair, and I see that a lot with Yulia. It's like it's a beautiful full cup.
It is. It is. And I agree with you 100%. I think what Pauline said to me is that life's just too short to not say what you feel. Because whenever, like when someone passed away and then we do like a eulogy, right? But they couldn't hear that anymore. So it's best to just say what you want to say and show your emotions while they're alive. They can hear it, they can feel it. So I think that's the biggest takeaway I had from my girlfriend. And I was able to share that to my family, which is really, really good. And to you as well, because I think I love you is a really tough phrase for me to say to anyone. Love is so broad. But as you said, if you love yourself, you're just going to be more giving and more loving.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I remember me with I love you, like, years ago before I got into all this growth stuff, I expected someone to say it back whenever I said it. And if, like, that's why I was so resistant to telling people I love you, is because I was expecting something in return. Now realizing after all the growth that I've had and the relationships I have today is like, I love you isn't something that's expected back. Like just like Evan said, if I feel love, basically, if I love myself, that means I'm feeling love in that moment. Like true love. If I'm feeling true love and I feel like telling someone I love you and they don't say it back, it's fine. Like I remember one time with your girlfriend, Brittany, your fiance now.
Yes, congratulations, Evan.
Yeah, congratulations to Evan, just got engaged. Yeah, one time I went, it came to my head while we were talking about this. I went to her and it's like the beginning of me getting to know her. And I just felt love for her. So I was like, I love you, Brittany. And she said, thank you, and I could care less in that moment because I really felt love for her. So yeah, love is unconditional. Like true love is unconditional. So.
Funny.
True love doesn't expect anything back, right?
Yeah, that's love. That's love.
It's also funny if we both thought of Brittany in that situation, because sometimes Brittany is, if she, we all experience our different emotions, right? And sometimes once in a while she'll be a bit angry or frustrated. And my cup will be full, right? And I'll be feeling love, and I'll just tell her, hey, I love you. And it's just that unconditional love. And, when she's in that state, like I know it's not coming back, right? She's not going to say it back if she's not feeling love for herself in that time, which we all go through that, right? Times where we don't feel love. I mean, yesterday I was feeling down on myself, wasn't feeling love for myself. But yeah, it's really beautiful to be able to have our cups full and share that love unconditionally with the people that are around us, who mean most to us, and the people that we're just encountering for the first time. We might not say I love you, but at least give it, like, really spreading that loving energy to them. It's an incredible and powerful thing, and adds a lot to our lives.
It's in the book Letting Go. The guy David Hawkins talks about, when someone reaches that level of love where they just love everyone, like when the person really hits love, which I choose to know if me and you have gotten there. We probably had glimpses, but when someone really is like in that love space, David Hawkins says that you feel love for some people, but you don't tell them it because you know that they're not going to take it. They're going to take it in a certain way. So you just send it to them emotionally. Sometimes we don't have to say it. So it just depends on the scenario. But yeah, I feel like I can emanate love to other people just by the way I am towards them and the feeling that I'm portraying outwards. I love both of you guys a lot.
Me too. I love you guys. Yeah.
Grateful for you guys.
I am too. I really am grateful. Like, imagine when I started working when I was 18, and I went into the call center industry in the Philippines. And then I started my journey into freelancing. And then I think I told you this, guys, when you were interviewing me for the position, that I got burned out and that it feels like I don't own my time with my previous client. And during that time, I was thinking, am I going to find another job? Like really fearful, because I need to make sure that I need to make ends meet. So if I didn't feel that I was burned out with my previous client, I wouldn't apply to that job post with you guys and I wouldn't have met you. So it's amazing how we stumble upon challenges, which would turn out to be opportunities. And then I met you guys. We have that same space and same values about personal growth. And then feeling that love and energy every time we have that meeting. It's just amazing how much growth we had for that past 6 months. And I'm really, really grateful that I have you guys I consider you guys as mentors, because whenever we hop on calls, I learn a lot. Like what you said, that when you're not feeling very well and then we hop on calls and then just really just turns your energy around. It's amazing. And we're like 1,000 miles away from each other. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Powerful.
I'll share too. Like, there's been times where, a lot of the times if I'm feeling fearful or angry, I'll talk to my girlfriend or I'll talk to you, Evan, or I'll just like sit there and meditate and do my own thing. But there's been times where literally like the only person I feel like talking to is Leah. And I'll just call Leah and just have an honest talk with her and just tell her how I feel. And she tells me how she feels, and complete shift in energy. Leah, you're like so understanding and so accepting, and you listen, and you really have beautiful love inside of you that you share. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. I think one call we had was, you were just like ranting about your emotions and just saying how you feel and then what happened. And then at the end, I was just really listening. I just really like embracing what you were saying. And at the end of the call, we said, sometimes you just really need someone to listen and then hear yourself talk. And then that already makes you feel better.
Yeah.
That's beautiful and very, very powerful. So
thank you for listening. And you were thinking of the exact conversation that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
The one a few weeks ago when Evan was gone on his
trip. That's it. That conversation.
Exactly. The one that came to me. Yeah. You were going to say something?
Is there something worth expanding on in that conversation? Is there some sort of...
Yeah, I can share what it was about.
Yeah.
So basically, this was like when I was selling your warehouse and there was traction coming in. I choose to remember exactly. Yeah, it was with the current offer that we're thinking of accepting. They had offered their $1,075,000 with the 3%. And I was like bugging, about like, am I going to give 3%? I choose to give 2% or give nothing on the commission. And then, could I raise the price? Like I was basically feeling fearful about like letting you down as my friend and as my business partner. And I had those fearful thoughts. And then like, am I being selfish for caring about the commission? Is it about that? Shouldn't I be doing what's best for Evan and getting him the most money and all these thoughts? And so, I just felt like talking to Leah because she's on the team and she understands. And so I shared all that stuff with her. And it was so cool because while I was talking to her, that exact guy that I was like stressing about the offer with, he called while I was talking to her. So I answered and I just talked and said all the stuff that I felt in the moment. And Leah really helped me through that. But it was emotional for me. Leah, did you pick anything up in that conversation that maybe I'm missing right now? Or was that just the gist of it?
I think generally what I could take away from that is whenever you were giving into that pressure in that situation. And that happens to all of us with that pressure. So sometimes you just really need a friend. You need a friend. And then have someone listen to you. And then let that emotion go. As Yair always said, the art of letting go. Just need that emotion go and it really does make you feel better, puts you into the right path, because that happened to me multiple times too. And we hop on calls and then you share your knowledge and your values and your wisdom to me. And it's been really, really helpful. I feel a lot better and lots of breakthrough as well. If there's another person's experiences and they share their experiences with you and how they look at the bigger picture that you can't see. So the insight from other people is really helpful.
Yeah.
So that's
there's
amazing.
something about like, because when I shared all that stuff with you, you were so calm and so accepting. So just like, it helps me get it out of my head and out there and seeing how you respond. And I'm like, wait, it's really not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't. So yeah, it's letting go of that, like you said, giving into that pressure and accepting that everything's okay. And that conversation really helped me let go of it. And I really did. And I just said, fuck it, man. Whatever happens with this deal happens. I just surrendered it to God. And dude, that now all this stuff's playing out so beautifully with that deal. So, a week, 2 weeks later, everything now is happening, really flawlessly for me and Evan with that one. So yeah,
it's pretty crazy how that happens, right? I think it always does. And it's pretty interesting how always to be honest, like anytime anything has ever happened in my life, normally within like no more than like 2 or 3 months, like I know the reason why it happened, like, which is pretty nuts. Like I can, even some stuff I look at it like later that day and I'm like, oh, that's why that happened. Like a day later, a week later. I mean, maybe nothing in my life as traumatic has happened. And maybe there's some stuff where it's like, shit, maybe it'll take 5 years to present or something, but I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. And as long as I maintain that thought process, man, my mood, my energy, my love, it's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, pretty untouchable from that perspective, because at the end of the day, what do we really need? We don't need anything, right? We don't need the house, the money, the car, the whatever, like any of this external stuff. All we need is ourselves. So if we believe that everything's happening for us, all is happening for us. And even higher than the material things, it's even people, right? We're all going to die one day. So seriously, so like if something tragic happens and we lose a loved one, and again, easier to say now that it actually has happened, it definitely will be tough and emotional. Like we're humans, like we are literally bred to have these emotions. But at the end of the day, it's all going to happen. So to be able to feel love and gratitude for if someone dies, the life that they have, what we learned from them, the experiences that we had together, a traumatic experience, what we learned from it, we're going to live a much more fulfilled, inspired life where we get to be grateful for the day ahead of us and the day that is now. So I'm grateful for this. And I find this common thread and trend to where I feel the most fulfilled. I really embody that belief. They really correlate a lot for myself.
So I have a question on that. Mm-hmm. And Leah, you can pitch in on this. Mm-hmm. So Evan, you just shared how, basically feeling gratitude for a situation over feeling suffering about it is a choice. Like that's pretty much what you just said. So if someone's listening, in the audience right now and they're like, man, it's easy for this guy to say, I just lost my loved one, or I just broke up with my girlfriend or boyfriend, or, something traumatic or something that they're feeling a certain level of painful emotions, just happened, and they still haven't been able to let go or feel gratitude for that. What can they do to change that and change the way they view the picture and choose love and choose gratitude in that? And, how have you done that? And same thing with you, Leah. What's a real practical, like, way day to day that someone can do that?
First thing I would say is it's okay that you're feeling that way, because we're humans. We've been bred over however many years, right? Millions, billions of years to be here. to have some of those emotions. What's up, Spark? We got our dog.
Our dog here just shaking us.
What's up, Spark? Guest appearance.
Guest appearance alert. All right, Spark. Let us continue.
So cute.
Yeah. It's okay that we feel that way, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we create suffering behind the suffering, like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. So it's okay to feel those emotions, let them come up, let them be there. And from there, when we actually observe those emotions, we let them be there. We don't force them down. We don't suppress them. We don't repress them. We don't shove them away. Like, I can't feel these emotions. We let them up. We actually feel them. Spark, are you agreeing? Let them come up and we really feel them. And from there, we're actually able to let them go. And we just let them up and we let them go. And at the end of the day, what's left after we have let these lower level emotions up and go are high level emotions. Our love is gratitude. And I really believe that is the natural state. Like when you're a baby and you're born, we're not born into suffering. It's a terrible world. We're born as a pure light, joy heart. I mean, just look at beautiful little kids and the smile on their faces and their curiosity. That is the state that we start in. And we let these pressures, these different things in the world come in and change our perception. So all we do is we let go of a lot of these things that we've learned. It's almost like an unlearning process. And at the end of it, at the core of consciousness. So it's about letting go of all this stuff on top of it. And from a practical perspective, if you want to dive deeper into it, I highly recommend reading the book Letting Go by David Hawkins. That book changed my life. Long story on that, which we don't need to get into now, but just I was in a bad space, really bad space. Read that book, literally changed the whole course of my life and how I view it, completely shifted the way that I see the world. And it's a really simple process. It is just understanding that at our deepest level, we feel love and joy and peace. And we shouldn't have resistance to our low level emotions. We let them come up, we observe them, we let them be. And from there, it really has a release. It has a release because there's no resistance and it comes up. So from a practical perspective, pick up that book, read it, treat it like it's a Bible. And what you can do while you're waiting for the audio to download, I would just recommend sit with your emotions, see them, observe them. Don't judge them. It's okay.
Be fully present with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No
Exactly.
distracting it with TV or video games or drugs or hanging out with friends can be a distraction. Like a lot of things can be distractions. So if you are feeling that strong emotion come up, maybe just sit in silence and just feel it fully and make it okay. And from there you can let it go or make a choice. And that's where the power comes. The power comes in being with it and accepting it. But yeah, get that book and also check out Joe Dispenza too. He's, for me, I read Letting Go too. Letting Go is great. Mm-hmm. Also, Joe Dispenza, along with that, he's a great author and he ties in really well with that stuff. Both such a good merge to me. I choose to know. Leah, what are your thoughts?
Combination for that.
Yeah, great combination.
Yeah. It's basically the same thing with you guys. Heal as you must. Because we have different process of coping up with the things that's happening around us and to us. And sometimes we feel, because we're human beings, we feel that this doesn't make sense. This is not going to make sense in the future. But like any emotion and anything that's happening, change is permanent. It's not going to last long. So we have to be able to process those emotions first and eventually accept them to be able to let them go. I think that's the process, the healthy process to deal with everything that's happening with us or around us.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an interesting topic to ask you about, or something personal in your life. So, big thing for you seemed like your relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
And I know you have a lot of love and gratitude for them. But I know you had a big challenge recently with them, having that culture of having the kids, having to support the parents. And I guess there's just this conflict, right? Between, do I do that? Do I not do that?
Yeah.
And how does that correlate with the emotions that you felt towards them, feel towards them, towards yourself? Can you just like give us a little background of like what happened there and how you felt throughout the situation and what you learned through that process?
Yes, definitely. So, as I said, I'm the eldest of three, and my parents had me when they were young. So even in the beginning, we were struggling financially. We're not where I am right now. So as I grew older, I think when I was in elementary until high school, I was a full scholar. I had to because we don't have the money to pay for school. And then when I went to college, it was my aunt who sponsored my tuition for that. And then other financial problems came up and I wasn't able to finish school. So I started working. And when I started working, the culture in the Philippines, it's very common to have to support your parents while you're still working. And then like most of your money goes to supporting your family. Even though you don't have like a husband or a wife or kids, you just like most of your money would go to your parents. It's kind of like giving back to them from when you were young, them taking care of you. And then when you grow older, you give back financially. So I knew
Is that a Philippine thing, or is that just like in your family?
It's a Filipino culture. I'm not the only one who's having this dilemma or this experience.
Okay.
I just want to chime in a little bit. There's a YouTube channel called Recreate. It's a Filipino YouTube channel, and they are actually like talking to different they do social experiments and interviews with like breadwinners, someone who's an atheist and someone who's Christian, like different stuff. So, and there was one episode there talking about or interviewing breadwinners and how they felt about supporting their parents, putting their family first, putting their dreams aside because they have to support their family.
Wow.
And that really, really resonated with me. I knew from the beginning when I was studying that I didn't want that position, that I have to not put myself first. I knew since I was young, I don't want to be in that position. But I kind of, as the eldest kid, you kind of adapt that role unconsciously. So because you just see that other Filipino households are doing that. So who am I to disagree? Who am I to refuse that role? So when I started to meet new people and then go into the real world, corporate world, and then meet some of my friends and my bosses, and I realized that I want something more for myself. I couldn't just set aside my dreams or the stuff I want to do for me because I need to support my family. So breaking out of that stigma and culture is really, really tough, of course, because not everyone's doing it. Everyone is like the good old breadwinner who wants to support their parents and their family. And here I am trying to break out of that. So that one was tough. And letting my parents know that I'm not going to support them anymore. It's not that I don't have money to support. It's just that, well, as I grew older, I learned to humanize my parents, that culture and value was also passed on to them. And now they're trying to pass it on to us.
Right.
So being that generation breaker and that cycle breaker is a tough position, but there's a huge growth opportunity, not just for me, but also for my parents, because they have to understand that I got to start a life of my own. I got to start a life of my own. I should be earning money for me, for my dreams, and for my future. So it's tough. It's still tough. But honestly, as the days progress, it really does become easier, because I realize I just have more love for myself now. I'm putting myself first. When I started working with you guys, I think I was still living with my parents, right? And then like a few months after, I showed you my new apartment. And then I just moved out of my parents' house because I had to. I had to make those big changes in my life to be able to be where I am right now, which is, I'm really, really happy and grateful for that growth. It's incredible, because growth is a really, really uncomfortable place. It's an uncomfortable place, but
at times it can be.
Yes, because you're resisting that. You're trying to resist, like naturally humans would resist change.
Right.
So I think the biggest takeaway would be, even if despite being fearful, despite being scared and resistant, just do it. Just do it. Do what you got to do, because at the end, it's not just going to be for you, but for all the relationships that you have. And I'm also grateful that my parents are really open to me saying what I feel, and them accepting those emotions and all the stuff that I needed to say, because not all Filipino households are like that. Most parents would think of them as the authority. So even if they're wrong, they're right. That the kids don't have the kids can't speak for themselves. Other households here in the Philippines are like that. So I'm grateful that my parents are open-minded that way, that they understand. So it's a tough position to be in, but the growth out of it is really, really huge. And I'm grateful for it. And I would do it again. I'd do it again. And I think I'm sharing that. Oh, sorry. I'm just sharing that also to my sisters, and they understand. I'm happy to start that, and then have my sisters continue that on their end. So they would put themselves first, instead of putting our other people's needs first. Because you can continue to give what you don't have.
I think it's beautiful. Wow. And you're breaking a long cycle of dependence, right? I think Yair and I were just listening to a podcast with it was a Tim Ferriss podcast. Do you remember who was interviewing, the guy's name?
I choose to remember the guy's name.
But they were talking about codependent relationships, and dependency just does not create happiness. I mean,
yeah.
And it's especially, it seems like a cycle, right? Because you take care of your parents, it drains all your financial resources. You get old, your parents are now gone, right? And now you have nothing because you're no longer in a working space. You've expended all those resources. You weren't able to save. You weren't able to grow. You weren't able to invest. And now your kids have that responsibility for you, and it just cycle. And then now you're older, and you're like, and your kids are like, oh shit. and like they don't feel good. You don't feel good because you're like, I'm kind of this anchor in terms of that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it might be a tough thing. It's growth, it's change. You might feel like, there might be, maybe, I don't know,
maybe upset with me. Yeah. And they might be
guilt there.
True.
Because of the societal norms, but a very powerful thing to do, a very forward looking thing to do. So it's pretty incredible. Was there some guilt or shame in that process with going against those societal norms? What were those feelings if you had them? And yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. If you asked me a couple months ago, I would say, no, I'm not guilty. And then I think we had that call and Yair was telling me, I think there's a lot of guilt. You're just not ready to acknowledge that. And I had to sit on that for a few days. Am I really feeling guilty or am I not allowing myself to feel guilty? Because every emotion is valid, right? And yes, definitely, there is a lot of guilt. I'm just not facing that guilt and not allowing myself to feel it, which is really wrong. It's the unhealthy way to deal with my feelings. So that's why I really, really value, and I'm very grateful whenever we hop on calls, because I really learn a lot, not just about business, but really like personal growth. So with me, since it's a societal norm in the Philippines to adapt that role of a breadwinner as the eldest, since I'm breaking through that or breaking out of that, there is a lot of guilt because you're thinking, do I not love my parents enough? Am I a bad person? Am I setting a bad example for my sisters? And also thinking about what other people would think, that I'll be able to buy cars, buy my own house, and then my parents are going to be there trying to scrape by. So those things that you would think people would think about you and like they would judge you. So what I was able to get through that, how I was able to get through that was really the key is really loving yourself. Because if you learn to love yourself and accept those emotions that comes within who I am, I don't need external validation. I wouldn't be able to love other people if I don't try to embrace who I am first. So that's the biggest. I learned to, whenever I want to buy something, I always feel guilty of it being either very expensive or something. I would feel guilty because, I could buy something for my parents or for my sister with this amount of money. I would always think that. I wouldn't think about my happiness. Is this going to make me happy? Do I need this? Like for example, I think buying that guitar, I learned to play guitar when I was 9, and I never owned my own guitar. It was always my dad's guitar, and all of my family is into music. So we really love music. And then it took me until age 26 to buy my own guitar because I always feel guilty of buying something for myself. Imagine that. That I don't say it's trauma, but how the society would put that on you, because that's how other people are doing or how other families are doing it. And then you start to feel guilty of doing something for yourself or putting yourself first. So that's the biggest takeaway. And those emotions that come with it is, in the beginning, was hard to identify what emotions I'm feeling. That's why it's really important to share those emotions, and also going to therapy really, really helped for me to be able to unravel and face those negative emotions and turn them into positive ones, and apply what my therapist is talking about every week to my daily life. And my relationships with the people I care about. So it's powerful.
So have you been able to shift the guilt yet, or are you still?
I am still in the process. And I'm really proud of myself to admit that I'm still in the process, that it's okay to be still in that process.
Yeah. I mean, one thing for you, and this is, I guess, like some live coaching for the recording, you said multiple times while you were sharing your story, I always feel guilty when I buy something. And I always it always happens. I always feel guilty when I'm buying something. Why? I can be buying something for my parents. I can be buying something for my sisters with that money. I always feel guilty when I'm buying things. You just said that, you just spoke it into existence. If you're speaking that way, then it'll keep staying there. So observing your identity, me and Evan talk about that a lot. So if you're telling the world, and what you're speaking is what obviously is in your subconscious, right? Is, hey, I'm just this guilty person that always feels guilty when I buy things because I feel guilty that I'm not buying things for my family. And then that'll keep going until you realize that and shift it to, wow, I feel proud of myself when I buy things. I love buying new things for myself. I'm just shifting that real quick.
Yeah. The narrative.
Shifting the narrative, which you can easily do. So I'm glad that you just said that, because now I can see that, hey, you're still speaking those things into manifestation. Also, another powerful thing is by you doing this and taking your power back and loving yourself and shifting that family pattern, you're literally breaking your whole lineage's pattern. Every generation behind you, you're breaking that. It ends with you. And that is a massive victory. Huge, huge victory. So congratulations.
It is. I'm proud of myself.
I'm very proud of you, Leah. Really.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am proud of me too. It's good to acknowledge that.
So another topic that I know has been stressing you a lot lately has been the elections.
Yeah.
In the Philippines.
Yes.
Had to bring that one up. Let's just be honest. It was coming. We all knew it was coming.
It's very, it's stressed you a lot, and a lot of our listeners here, U.S., where it seems like it sounds like you might be in a tough situation there, but I think a lot of people in the U.S. are a lot of diehard people in the political realm, and think that there's huge implications in terms of, political stance. So maybe you could explain to us what you've been going through emotionally. So to give everyone a little perspective, I'll give a little background on what I've been informed of by Leah, and then Leah, you could dive into the emotional aspect of it. There's been a big election in the Philippines. The votes have been counted. It's not, it hasn't been declared official yet, but it seems like the winner of the election will be, I don't know the guy's name, but previously his dad used to be the leader of the Philippines. That was actually a dictator, right? Where, he took power of the government for much longer than he was supposed to. It's only supposed to be one term. He ended up leading the country for decades. They actually got ousted from the position. And then, a couple of decades later, now he gets freely elected. The son gets freely elected into the position. So Leah's been, explaining to us hey, I'm feeling a little fearful, then, what's going to happen in our country. Definitely a very interesting thing going on there. So Leah, maybe you could explain a bit about your emotions through it all. I know you're still processing it, still going through it. And maybe you can, just tell us where you're at, and do you have a plan emotionally of how you're going to deal with this?
Yes. Thank you for that introduction, Evan. You basically nailed it. yes, to be honest, I'm feeling really fearful about that. And not just us, but those that are really open to, that really did our research on what potentially might happen in the Philippines. Because one of the reasons why his name is Bongbong Marcos. So that's his name. And he's normally called as BBM here, for short. So he is, I think one of the reasons that he was able to potentially win it, as I mentioned, it's not declared yet, because there was a lot of misinformation that happened in the Philippines, because Filipinos thought that in the past it was the golden era of the Philippines, because since his father was a dictator and gained power over their democracy in the Philippines, they kind of manage the media and all the information that goes out. So all the negative that has happened was not in the books, in the history. So now we voted for Leni Robredo, which is a woman who's running for president, and she was previously the vice president of the Philippines. She's really, really qualified for the position. Unfortunately, there's a huge gap, like 30 million to 14 million. So we just really know that the guy's going to win. So one of the things that I went through and is still going through is that I used to be apolitical because I just really want to mind my own business. I know that hard work and dedication to what I'm doing would really make sure that I have my future secured. I don't really rely on the government in terms of that. So I used to be really apolitical. And then this Leni Robredo ran for president, and she really just sparked that something in me and that hope that potentially the Philippines could be great again. And then she's going to be losing. We went to rallies. I went with my sisters, my friends, and really went hard on volunteering for this candidate to win. And now she's going to be losing. So that journey is really tough for me to try to fight that and then lose. We don't want to lose. No one wants to lose, right? And then I'm also thinking that this is the first time ever that I'm thinking about my Filipino fellow men. I'm not just thinking about myself anymore. I'm thinking about the poor people of the Philippines that can't fight for themselves. So it's really, I'm doing something selfless and then I lose. So imagine that feeling of helplessness and frustration that there's this one candidate that's really good for the position, and then someone wins that you just know potentially might put the Philippines in danger.
So my question is, where do we emotionally go from here, right? Because a lot of this stuff is not in our control. I think we all agree that stuff happens for a reason, right? Like life, the universe, God puts this stuff in front of us. So, have you been able to see any glimpse of this is all happening for a reason, or have we been 99% of the time in this is terrible, this is suffering, let's chop someone's head off,
I want to be a bad person. There is.
Let's flee to Australia.
Yeah, that was what I was saying. The last meeting we had. Yeah, of course, definitely. I was thinking about it, and the number one I did is really stay out of social media, because that's where the negativity comes from. And then I tried to sit on it, and I realized that, and I shared this with you guys before, it sparked something again in me to have more ambition, because I understand that there are things I can't control. And what I can control is how I go from here. So number one is turn that into positive energy. I stay away from those negative posts now. Like I really cut out social media. And then second is to focus on the things that I have right now that I should be grateful for. Because sometimes when I'm feeling very sad, I think my aunt was talking to me about it. I was feeling very, very sad about what's happening. And then she said that sometimes when we're feeling sad and we're feeling like self-pity or frustration and everything, we're actually feeling very selfish because we're thinking about just ourselves. So we have to remind ourselves to be grateful for what we have. And that's what I've been doing to process this emotion. And because I'm feeling very, very fearful, not just for me, for my family, but for the whole country. So that's another level. And at the end of the day, and what we said before, like everything happens for a reason. Right now, what's going to happen that I don't know yet. I'm sure that future Leah could handle that and the future Philippines could handle that. But right now, what can I do? I just have to focus on me. Make sure that I'm continue to build that relationships I have with the people I care about. And also with the ambition part. I was thinking to have my sister go to Australia to have a better future there. It's so funny, as Yair said, how fear could strike that emotion of fight or flight. So I was on that stage, but I haven't talked to my sister about it yet. But it's also a possibility. Like if there's an opportunity for her to study in another country and have a better life there, why not? She's young. We can financially support it. So I just want to really focus on things that I could do and I can control instead of thinking about, oh, this should happen. Oh, this could have been. It's frustrating to think about that. And we're kind of living in the past if we think about that stuff. And we got to continue living in the present.
There were two interesting things there that you touched base on. One is gratitude and how powerful of a tool gratitude is, with all the unknown craziness that goes on in our external world. When we come back to gratitude, we can really feel a lot of love.
Yes.
Grateful for the things that we have, then we're able to share love. We're able to positively influence the people around us, not go down a negative spiral. Mm-hmm. You'd mentioned not on this call, but when we were previously speaking about it, the candidate that you had voted for, right? Even after losing the election, starting not a campaign, but like a foundation, right? Like a foundation to help the people of the Philippines. And, it's not just like hey, I'm running here, I'm doing it for me. So to see those selfless actions and items are very inspiring. A lot of good comes out of those things. So gratitude is a really beautiful place to operate out of. And the other thing is everything happens for a reason. I mean, I think this is a cool theme that we can come back to. And to me, like some crazy stuff came to my mind, like some of the worst things that have ever happened in human history, or at least recent human history. Like now, if we look back at it, like, can we see the reason why these things happened? Right. For example, the Holocaust, like Yair and I are both Jewish. And to look back at the Holocaust or the genocide that happened in Cambodia in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I went and I visited Cambodia maybe 5 years ago, and the amount of sheer joy and love in the culture of that culture was inspiring. And I think maybe some of that is attributed to just the sheer atrocities of what happened in the previous generations. And I guess growing up with the parents with an expectation of like, oh, life is this way. And then life all of a sudden is like, wow, there's freedom. There's this, it's like the yin and the yang, right? It gives a lot of perspective to those people. And I'm sure there's so much incredible beauty in that country now because of the terrible things that happened in the past. So it's a scary thought to think of like, hey, my country is the country that's going through this right now. And, I'm not very well informed of like the kind of potential risk that we're dealing with in the political realm there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Leah, you're in the situation better than I am, but I mean, I do think there is some peace in knowing that everything happens for a reason. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, definitely. Like anything else, I just had to go to that process. You have to go to the process of, because it's still a loss, but I still do feel that really everything happens for a reason. Because at the end of the day, we don't have full control about everything that's happening. So we got to trust the process and trust whatever it is that's going to happen in the future. And I'm looking forward to that. As you said, that candidate we voted for, instead of thinking about the loss that she held a Thanksgiving party with all the volunteers. And that's gratitude. She's really grateful for all the volunteers in the campaign. And now she's creating a non-government organization called Angat Buhay, or like uplifting life. So it's amazing how she thought of moving forward and looking at the brighter future instead of thinking about the loss.
That's the thing though, Leah. Was it a loss for her? That's the real question to ask ourselves here, because maybe externally she lost the election.
Yeah.
But does she feel like a loser?
Yeah.
Sounds to me like she feels like a winner.
I think so too.
So she might tell people, hey, yeah, I lost the election.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't feel like she lost. She feels like she won. Look at her now. She's like, wow, I have all these volunteers and I'm doing Thanksgiving with them. And so it seems like to me, like she's a very powerful leader, and she's by her feeling like a winner and by her doing what she's doing, she's actually helping the situation and helping shift the society. And her love is helping change the state of the Philippines. It's really powerful. Like what you shared about her, it sounds like she's very like a very beautiful person.
Mm-hmm.
Another really inspiring leader that comes from this place of love and gratitude was Nelson Mandela, South Africa. And hearing his story is super inspiring. I mean, I think he was he was locked up in prison for 25, 26 years in South Africa, because he was fighting for, the apartheid to end. And
the what to end?
Apartheid.
What's that?
Apartheid was the system in South Africa that was segregation between whites and blacks.
Okay.
Oh
whites
my
had
gosh.
Power. Black people had really no rights, even though, I mean, that country must be over 95% black, maybe even more. And he was locked up in jail for 25 years, small cell. I don't know what the exact dimensions are, 5 foot by 5 foot cell. Like,
so was he black?
Yeah, he was black.
Mm-hmm.
He's locked up. And when he got out, instead of being spiteful, instead of, coming for heads, instead of, creating this big battle, he actually worked with the white people, with the current leaders at the time, and then actually came in, got elected, and became the leader, either president or prime minister of South Africa. And then after that, after he took over, he didn't expel, jail, kill, no repercussions for the people that had put him in jail for 25 years. And because of that, like, what an inspiring leader that South Africa was able to progress in a good, sustainable way. You know, there's obviously still challenges that are in that country today, but that country was really able to continue to go. People were able to get more rights. You know, not all the wealth of the country just fled away. People didn't, you know, it was a really incredible transition. Whereas, you know, you look at some of the other countries in Africa that were under similar systems where, you know, the white people held all the power, like Zimbabwe, for example. Zimbabwe, you know, they went through a revolution, person comes in, and what they do, they just seized all the land from, you know, the people, the white people that owned it. But it's like, you know, you do something so radical shifting, kind of spiteful like that. And, you know, that country, you know, got economically, at least, got run into shambles. The currency is currently worth zero. It's not worth anything, their currency. And I guess, you know, those are some of just the external things that kind of present. But what's the most important and what's the most powerful is like, hey, how do you, after 25 years of being in a cell, like, come out with love and gratitude for the people that did that? And one other thing that just came to my mind on that was I watched this thing. I wish I was coming back to my mind. I was with a Holocaust survivor on another YouTube channel. And this is a very powerful thing that I remember. So she was in the Holocaust and it's like, hey, how did you survive? Like, how did you get through this? And when she looked at the guards, she actually realized that they were the prisoners, not her, because they were trapped up here in the mind by the Nazi political system. And they were trapped in their minds, and she was free because she was mentally and emotionally free. And that's what helped her get through. That's what helped her become a Holocaust survivor. That's what helped her come out after and inspire so many people with her story.
Is that the guy though? Is that because I know Viktor Frankl said the exact same thing.
It was a woman. It was Louis Ho. You know Louis Ho's, his YouTube channel?
Yeah, I know him.
He interviewed a woman. You guys might be able to just Google it. Louis Ho's Holocaust survivor.
Dude, the Viktor Frankl, I'm reading his book. He says the exact same thing, that they're the prisoners.
And you notice this, like, you know, the strong people. I mean, it's beautiful what's come out of these Holocaust survivors. And, you know, as terrible as it was, there's probably a reason how much beautiful love and inspiration and knowledge was gained from those people, from the strength, the mental, strength and mental fortitude. And you look at it, it's like it's taking self-ownership. It's bringing it within. It's having self-love. It's having love for the guard, having empathy for the guard that is, you know, there, like, telling your family, like, holy shit.
I mean,
like, what the fuck?
Wow.
You know,
I know.
Like, dude, it's just nuts.
It's hard. It's hard. And we see this in our society today. You know, we see divorces getting so messy over a house, over a car, over this, over that. People will literally shoot themselves in their own foot to just spite the other person. People will literally go through such hell and torment to the point where they'll kill themselves over a divorce or financial stress. So there's examples like that we can see, like, hey, is that what we choose? Or do we choose to live like these inspirational people, like the Holocaust survivors, like Nelson Mandela, like the president of or the person that lost the election, that instead of going, you know, kind of screaming, saying, you know, this is bullshit, instead saying, hey, how can I help my country? How can I still make a positive influence? So I think we have a lot to learn from these people.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful inspiration to have people like this and to have mentors and teachers that we can learn from like that.
And here we are like talking about them. They're very, very inspirational. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see people like that prove the power we have as human beings. I mean, when you're talking about the Holocaust survivors, the guy Viktor Frankl, I'm sure a lot of people listening have read, know about him. You probably know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Viktor Frankl has this like thing that he says that like, man, every time I read it in the book, I have tears. It's just the most beautiful little sentence. 2 sentences. He says something along these lines. He realized being in the concentration camps that the guards and the Nazis, like they could take everything from him, but the only thing that they couldn't take is the last of the human freedoms, is what he calls it, which is his power to choose his response and his inner state.
Mm-hmm.
He said they could take everything from him externally, but they can't take his inside away. They can't take his freedom of choice, his true freedom of choice. And that's when he says that they're the real prisoners because they aren't free here and he is free. And that's, dang. And every time I read that, I'd feel teary-eyed because I realized how much power I have.
Mm-hmm.
And Viktor Frankl, also another powerful thing about him is the reason why he was able to survive is that he framed the Holocaust scene as this is happening so that I can grow spiritually. That's how he was able to frame it. Of like, this isn't happening to me. He didn't complain. He just said, you know what? This is helping me discover myself deeper. This is all happening so that I could do that. And like, dude, it's all perspective. Even the people in the toughest of times. And dude, like, I've never been in something like that, right? Although I've been in different things, but it's a common consensus is that people that are achieving greatness, they choose love and they choose to see the beauty in things. It's that simple. It's a simple choice.
Yeah.
And all 3 of us and everyone watching and everyone in the world can make that choice. Yeah. And I choose love and I choose peace and I choose beauty in every moment.
Yeah.
That's the best path for me.
One little other thing that comes to my mind on that is yesterday, right? Yesterday morning, I was feeling extremely down, like really down. And I think a big part of that was this video that I had watched the night before. And it was about the universe and how big it is, right? It's this huge universe, billions of years. And the universe is continuously expanding, getting bigger and bigger. And this video was like a 10, 15-minute thing on YouTube. And it was just showing how the sun is going to expand over, the course of the next couple of billion years. It's going to, basically overtake the Earth. The Earth is going to be gone. It's going to continue to expand. Then the galaxies are going to basically hit each other and everything's just expanding out. So then you got all these blue giants or whatever it's called that will continue to expand until it's all black holes. And then the black holes expand until there's just basically nothing.
What a downer video.
And through a few times through that video, right, the premise of it, the kind of conclusion that the video had was nothing matters. Nothing matters because the sun is expanding and it's going to implode us all. Nothing matters because it's all going to be black holes. Nothing matters because at the end of the day, it all started with nothing and it ends with nothing, right? Nothing matters. I'm like, man. So that was the last thing I watched before I went to sleep. It didn't really hit me, but the next morning I was like, man, why am I just not feeling too hot? Like, I'm really not feeling great. But it's perspective, right? Because I watched a very similar video from Mickey Singer talking about the universe and the vastness of it. And he said, it's taken 13.8 billion years for us to be here. What are the chances? What are the odds that we're here right now, looking at these birds, looking at this, our eyes, our life form, or this or that? Like, what are the chances that this is actually here right now? Like, how fucking beautiful. Like, wow. this is amazing. We have an opportunity to love this and enjoy this and experience this and be conscious with it. I'm just like thinking about this, like, dude, two of the exact same things, the scope of the realm of the universe. One is like nothing matters, might as well go jump off of a bridge. And the other one is like, yo, this is fucking amazing. This is like awesome. Like, look at
I'm
this.
grateful to be alive.
This stuff. Like, I got hair, I got a ponytail, like whatever, And so it's like, are we going to take life this way or that way? And it's really our choice.
Half full or half empty.
Yeah.
All perspective, man.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great little realization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to ask, what was the point of that video? Nothing matters. Amazing.
Right. What was the point of that video if nothing mattered? Oh, yeah. That's a good little comment for the YouTube video. You can make that comment.
Yeah. Give him a little sarcasm. Why are you making this?
Yeah, it's funny, man.
How powerful our mind is too,
Yeah, it's funny. It's really cool to see how we have the power to make that choice of, do we choose to live an inspired life, or do we choose to be uninspired and listen to the nothing matters thing? Or do we choose to listen to it does matter, and I'm here right now, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Honestly, the biggest realization I had that got me into this growth stuff is that I have a power to choose my state. The second I realized that, man, I became so motivated and focused on my growth. Because before that, I had no clue. I just thought, like, dude, I used to fucking think about that all the time. Like, man, does any of this really matter? But once I realized, wait, I don't have to listen to that thought that keeps making me feel depressed. I could say, fuck it, it matters because I choose for it to matter. That's it. And just move on with my day. Or what if I get sick and die tomorrow? No, I'm fucking healthy. That's my choice. Keep moving. That's like, that power to choose is what got me into this journey. So it's beautiful.
It is very beautiful.
All of us have the power to make a choice in every single moment, and it's all happening for us. And we're the creators of our lives if we choose to be. So
exactly.
It's very beautiful.
Why choose to be miserable when you could be grateful, spreading love and enthusiasm?
Love and enthusiasm.
And then there's the interesting aspect of why choose. But if we're feeling that way, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? If we feel the down, because we're human, right? It's like, no one's just like good all the time, and we go through those things. So it's when that comes up, it's like, hey, it's okay. I'm human. It's here. Let's let those emotions go. They're not wrong. They're here and they're okay. They're here for a reason. And as those come up and as we let them go, then we're at a place where we're okay. And we're at a point where we have an opportunity to choose. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And from there, we make the choice.
Exactly.
All right.
True.
We're good. This is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my girl.
It's because of the. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, my girlfriend. She's pretty cool. She's pretty awesome. There's been times where I'd feel fearful in the past, and I'd go to her and I just like tell her, oh, I'm having these thoughts about this and all these things, and she'll just pause me, like, well, okay, great. What do you choose? Just like that. Like, what do you
Shout
choose?
out to Mariette.
And then in my head, shout out to Mariette, big shout. In my head, I'm just, you know what I mean? Because I'm like in that state. Then I just take a moment. I just say what I choose, even though sometimes it could be tough, and I just cancel. Sometimes it could be tough. I love it when it's easy, baby. But, yeah, in the past, there's been times where I feel resistance. That's a better way. I feel resistance to saying what I choose because I'm so stuck, and I'd be so stuck on that thing. So it's so important for us to feel it, let it go, and really consciously make a choice. So yeah, my girlfriend has helped me a lot with that. So big shout out to Mariette.
Amazing.
Yeah, what are you going to say, Leah?
I was going to say it's because of the lows why we should be feeling grateful for the highs. because the highs wouldn't feel so good if you didn't experience the lows.
I disagree.
Really?
I love feeling the highs.
Oh yeah, I do love feeling the highs. Just that you feel more grateful for the highs if you also experience the lows. It's part of it. They come hand in hand.
I don't know.
I choose to know if that's a true statement, man. Honestly, I feel like that society has made that belief system to make themselves feel better about continuously suffering. I choose to know, man. It's
I think if the lows come, it's okay, but it's not like, I don't think we really
need the lows.
need them. Like we don't like they're like, it's just like they come, right? It's just like, it's a part of it. It's like part of it. But with more time, and I've noticed myself as well as, a lot of people that I look up to, times, I mean, it comes up with everyone, but I think with time and experience, the lows become less long, they become less prevalent.
Yeah. And
we're able to really just live with a lot of love and fulfillment because we have a better understanding of it. And it's not, I don't think like love and fulfillment even need to be like quote unquote highs, right?
Yeah.
It's not like this like highs is like excitement. Excitement is on the same wavelength as nervousness, as we discussed, right?
Yeah.
Excitement. So
it's not always positive.
High is like like not passion, but like it's almost like fear. It's like there's some fear in the high, right? It's like it's like a cliff jumping. There's some fear in it, Whereas like the love and the peace is more like a, to be honest, is like a neutral.
Steady.
It's like a neutral.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So
it's really, really cool. And it's really awesome that it's just awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome. How are you feeling now, Yair?
And I feel enthusiastic. I feel peaceful, feel happy. And I feel really grateful for you guys and for this conversation. A lot of realizations and I remembered a lot of things through this talk. So grateful for the both of you guys. A lot of wisdom was spoken in this conversation. Honestly, I feel like this is the best one yet. So in terms of just the relaxation in this and just really
us
sharing,
being comfortable, yeah,
really, this was my favorite episode so far, personally.
Felt exactly like one of our normal meetings. Like we said, our original intention was, hey, let's just sit here and have a chat like the three of us. Yeah. And geez, we did it.
Wow. I mean, wow.
Yeah, to all the viewers, that's how our meeting goes.
Yeah, that's literally our meetings. Man.
Yeah.
Shameless plug of join Alberi Real Estate.
Yeah, Alberi Real Estate. Come on.
Guys, Leah's our first employee in Alberi Real Estate. Actually, me and Evan's first employee in general in our business together. And ended up being a home run. Yeah. So she's just a phenomenal woman. And I'm really grateful to have her on the team. And we're looking for another agent to help us out in Jacksonville. So looking forward to seeing how that person comes along. Yeah.
Yeah. We're manifesting that person.
Yeah, we are.
We're manifesting that. Exactly. But yeah, it's beautiful to sit here and have this conversation, and life is so multifaceted, and to be able to sit here with the two people that I am most intimate in business with, but also like to have this personal connection and relationship to dive deep into our personal lives, our thoughts, our emotions, be vulnerable with each other. Grateful.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really grateful.
Feeling a lot of love, actually. Feeling a lot of love. But another beautiful conversation with the two of you. Yeah. It's amazing.
I love you guys, and I appreciate both you guys being here.
Love you guys.
on the call.
Love you too.
And thank you to our viewers. Love you guys a lot. Appreciate you for sitting here, taking the time, investing in yourself, and for helping me with my own fulfillment, because me giving is me receiving. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.